Hi everyone, this is mewomurai. Boy, let's look at Capcom Arcade Stadium or Capcom Arcade Second Stadium running on Nintendo Switch. I think we basically covered every game except for the games that also appeared on the Capcom Fighting Collection. So, like Vampire Savior, Street Fighter Anniversary. I think Street Fighter 3 was also in there. Original Street Fighter 2, Original Street Fighter. And I think Original Darkstalkers was in the fighting game collection. So if you're like super curious about how those games run, this collection isn't any different from the games that were in the arcade, Capcom Arcade, or Capcom Fighting Game collection. Which I guess is a shame if you're one of those people that's really into fighting games, then this collection probably isn't too satisfying. I guess there's like a large amount of lag that's present in these games that isn't present in the original arcade games. And I think if you're like super serious about fighting games in general, and you want to play these classic games, and you're probably playing these using Fightcade. So this is really more for the casual player, and I'm not sure how much the casual player cares about these like hardcore fighting games. Because Vampire Savior is not like a casual fighting game, not for casual fighting game fans, you know. But that being said, we can at least take a look at it. Again, this is no different than it is in the Capcom Fighting Game Collection. But I suppose somebody out there is going to be super persnickety and say, well, you didn't actually cover the game from the second collection. That was in the fighting game collection. Those are two different games. I was like, well, they're the same versions of the game. They didn't change anything. You know, these were all kind of developed very, during very similar times. So I think if there were more time in between the game collections, that maybe Capcom would have addressed the lag that's present in some of these games, but doubtful. You know, I don't think this was an expensive project on Capcom's part. You know, they did want to get it out here, and there are additional features, but it's the sole aim of these games is not to be 100% correct. It's just to have their legacy out there on modern systems. Again, that's fine, but there are definitely people out there who are not going to be happy with the way these are, since they're not perfect, right? I'm not one of those people. I really wouldn't be able to discern the difference in the frame rates and the lag. I mean, I can a little bit, but not enough so that I'd be really mad about the collection. You know, fighting game community, they're like mad about everything. I swear they're in a perpetual state of anger. And I don't mean just because, they like win or lose in a fighting game. I think they're just angry people in general. And I don't know. I mean, maybe if Capcom ever felt the need to go back and maybe patch these titles to deal with the latency and the lag, that would be great. But I highly doubt it. I really don't know how well these collections sold. We can always hope that that people were interested enough to buy everything. But I don't know if people just bought like what they wanted, and they didn't buy like all the collections, or if they if they bought individual titles. I mean, that information Capcom hasn't released, so I have no idea. Yeah, and I guess thankfully these games aren't as difficult to emulate as they used to be. So again, if you really wanted to play the fighting games in these collections, then Arcade would be your way to go. You get the online play and more lag-free experience. Maybe just casual playing, this collection's just fine. Still, it is kind of nice to see Capcom in its heyday when they're really pumping out some of their best 2D fighting work. They've gone full 3D at this point in time, with only the smallest projects really being 2D. 2D is very expensive to produce, and the results of 2D animation and artwork is not, well, number one, not necessarily pleasing to people, and number two, it may not even be pleasing to people who really love it, right? You can get much smoother animation with real 3D models now, and they look even better than native 2D work. forget the arcade difficulty. The computer's such a jerk. But again, it's the arcade. You know, I mean, they're trying to take your money. They're not trying to give you a balanced experience. You know, that's for only when you want to play versus mode, when you're playing with a real person. The CPU, I mean, Capcom has never, ever had good AI for their fighting games. It's always been, you know, incredible cheat. Not that, you know, there's a lot of cheating going on here, but still. Oh, I forgot we could change the speed. I was like, why does he sound so high-pitched? Boy, it's much harder to play Felicia. Morg is like so much easier to play. I don't really remember all the combos either. It's been forever since I played any of these games. Of course, this was also Capcom's kind of lazy period where they would utilize a lot of the same frames, you know, for the same characters. Like, not a whole lot of new stuff ever really drawn for their legacy characters in their games. Not as bad as SNK. SNK was kind of the worst at that, but SNK's excuse was they always had a very limited budget, and those games were made yearly, and so it's sort of understandable that they'd have to recycle so much, but yeah, it's too bad the series died. So, I don't think it's ever coming back either. Like, I don't think there's a demand for it. I think they're having a hard enough time just keeping up with Street Fighter 6, much less revive some of their older properties. Yeah, but playing this whole game, I can kind of see why, like the current crop of fighting game enthusiasts, like they want every single game to move as fast as possible. Like if this is their baseline game, games from this era of Capcom, then yeah, it's like they gotta make it so fast that every time you think you can press a button, it should move as fast. It's like I don't necessarily want a game to move this fast every single time. Sometimes I like things to be a little more strategic. You know, sometimes I want Art of Fighting or Samurai Showdown and not just, you know, push every single button as fast as you can after drinking, you know, 7 Red Bulls and having 12 cookies. It's kind of where I feel that the current fighting game community is. It's like, slow down, guys. It's okay. It's okay that not every game moves at lightning speed. You're no less of a good player if you play a game that has a slower pace. And the game isn't automatically bad because it's not moving, you know, at 120 frames. You can't convince the FGC that though. Now, you know, they've been kind of lulled into believing that everything needs to be very Capcom-like. And that's certainly not the case. It's not healthy for the industry either to have games only play like a Capcom game. I mean, that's why I like King of Fighters 15. It's, you know, very, very, very much an SNK game. And while somebody who likes Capcom games can adapt to it, you know, it's not meant to just push a button every you know 3/100ths of a second, which is, you know, kind of how these games are. Yeah, boy, it is different going back and playing these games. I don't know if I like them as much as I did when I was in the heydays of these games. Like I think the current batch of fighting games that are currently out, you know, Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1, Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising, Under Night 2, I think they've actually got quite an advantage over these old games. I remember nothing about this game. Nothing. But like I said, I've been so invested in the newer fighting games, which is interesting. You know, it's been a revival of every series out there. I mean, not the SNK series, you know, not all of their series, but you know, it's getting close. You know, I expect someday that I'll get that art of fighting game that I've always wanted. You know, because they did Samurai Showdown, they started with Samurai Showdown, doing King of the Fighters. Now they're doing Fatal Fury, which I think will be pretty big when it does finally come out. I'll play once more. I can definitely feel the AI cheating. You know. Yeah, and while Capcom certainly didn't have the super duper cheap fighting game AI, you know, versus something like Mortal Kombat or Art of Fighting, still pretty cheap. You still always feel like it can do things that a human just can't quite do. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as I said, it's interesting to play the games again, but I really do feel that if you wanted to play the fighting games, that you would have bought the fighting game collection. Like, this is probably not the right venue for. This is probably not the right venue for their classics. You know, since they did make the fighting game collection. But that being said, you know, I can see if you maybe didn't want only fighting games, you want more variety, that this would be a bit more appealing to you. But there you go. Yeah, that was Vampire Savior as part of the Capcom Arcade second collection. I mean, what else didn't we cover? We didn't cover some of these Street Fighter games. Was it 2? No, I think Hyper Fighting, yeah, Hyper Fighting was also on Fighting Game Collection. I think a lot of people were like super excited to have Hyper Fighting on there, and then it ended up being kind of a laggy game, and so that excitement died just a bit. But again, you know, if this is what you wanted, and you weren't, you know, super persnickety about it being a competitive level game, you know, with the lag being what it is, then it'd be fine. Like I said, if you want to look at the rest of the games, that's just look at my playlist for the Fighting Game Collection. It's not different. These are the same games. I forget, is this the cheating AI? I think this one might be the cheating AI. Yeah, the very notorious the US release. I think they did fix this later on. I mean, this is like Mortal Kombat style AI. But I don't think the US release ever got the fixed single player AI. Yeah, it's got all the same trials and tribulations. I'm actually surprised this is the AI that they would use, and they wouldn't use like something from one of the other earlier editions. Because this one makes it seem like T-Hawk is like the best player, but he's certainly not. But yeah, this is a pretty notorious game for having input read problems. Anyway, yeah, that's. I think this is the last game that we'll cover. Like I said, the other games are part of the Fighting Game Collection. It's kind of really no need to go over them again. But hopefully we'll see another Capcom Arcade Collection. There's still like a ton of games that are left over from their CPS2 and CPS3 days. But I probably will wait and see. I imagine that it'll be maybe the next generation that we'll see these on. So hopefully, you know, maybe there'll be a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X or Switch 2 edition specifically to kind of address the lag and maybe feature some newer titles, or some different titles that they've already done. But yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you at the next stream.